Red sale tags. You walk into a store with absolutely no intention of buying anything. You're just looking. Then, from across the room, you spot a bright red 50% off sign. Suddenly, your brain changes the mission. 5 seconds ago, you were thinking, I don't need anything. Now you're thinking, where's the sale? And somehow, you end up holding a jacket you didn't even notice before. Why does a little red tag have this much power? Part of it is simple. Red grabs attention. It stands out against shelves, websites, and other products, so your eyes naturally notice it. But getting your attention is only step one. The real trick happens when your brain sees an original price next to a discounted price. Instead of judging the product from scratch, you immediately compare the two numbers. A $100 shirt marked down to $60 can feel like a great opportunity because your brain is focused on the $40 you supposedly saved. And notice what just happened. You stopped asking, do I want this shirt? You started asking, how much am I saving? That tiny change in the question can completely change your decision. Stores also know that a sales sign can create a little emotional rush. Finding a discount can feel like you've beaten the system you discovered, a deal that other shoppers might miss. Suddenly, buying something feels less like spending money and more like winning. But here's the part that can mess with your judgment. A discount doesn't automatically make something valuable. A product you never wanted at 50% off is still money leaving your wallet. So the next time a red tag grabs your attention, cover up the original price for a moment and imagine there's no sales sign at all. Would you still want the product at that price? Because sometimes the biggest thing being discounted isn't the product, it's your ability to think about whether you actually need it. Buy one, get one. Imagine you're at the supermarket and you see your favorite snack sitting on the shelf. You weren't planning to buy it. Then you notice the sign, buy one, get one free. Suddenly, walking away with just one feels almost like making a terrible financial decision. Your brain whispers, why would I pay for one when I can get two? And now you're reaching for the second package even though 5 seconds ago, you didn't even want the first one. The secret weapon here is one tiny word, free. When something is free, we don't evaluate it the same way we evaluate something with a price. A normal discount might make you think, is this worth buying? But when something is free, the question changes to, why wouldn't I take it? That makes the offer feel like an opportunity rather than a purchase. And there's another clever trick happening. A buy one, get one deal makes you focus on the extra product instead of the money leaving your wallet. You're thinking about what you're getting, not what you're spending. Imagine a bottle of shampoo costs $8. You only need one, but another brand offers 2 bottles for $12. Your brain might immediately think, I'm getting 2 for only $12. And technically, yes, you are getting more product. But if you only needed 1 bottle, you've still spent $4 more than your original plan. That's where the offer becomes powerful. It can turn I don't need this into I'd be stupid to leave the free one behind. And here's the weird part. Sometimes the free item becomes more persuasive than the product itself. You're not necessarily buying because you love the thing. You're buying because getting something for nothing feels like a victory. So the next time you see buy one, get one free, don't ask, how much am I saving? Ask something more uncomfortable. Would I buy even one if the second one weren't free? Because sometimes, the cheapest thing in the store is the reason you spend more. Limited time offers. Only 3 hours left. You weren't even planning to buy anything. But suddenly that little countdown timer has your full attention. You start thinking, should I get it now? What if the price goes up later? And before you know it, you're buying something you didn't even want 10 minutes ago. That's the power of a limited time offer. Companies use deadlines to create something your brain hates. The feeling that you're about to miss an opportunity. Normally, when you see a product, you can take your time. You can compare prices, read reviews, close the website, and come back tomorrow. But add a message like sale ends tonight, and suddenly waiting feels risky. Your brain shifts from do I need this, to what if I lose this deal? That's where scarcity comes in. When something appears available for only a short time, we tend to see it as more valuable. Think about concert tickets. If there are thousands available, you might wait. But when you see last 2 tickets, suddenly you feel like you need to act fast. Online stores use the same idea with countdown timers, flash sales, and last chance messages. And sometimes the deadline is genuine, but the psychological effect works either way. Here's the twist. The company doesn't necessarily need to convince you that the product is amazing. It just needs to convince you that waiting could be a mistake. That pressure can make you skip the normal thinking process and make a faster decision. So next time you see only 2 hours left, don't immediately reach for your wallet. Ask yourself one simple question. If this exact deal were available tomorrow, would I still want it? If the answer suddenly becomes not really, you may not be buying the product at all. You may just be buying the deadline. Free shipping. You're $5 away from free shipping. You only came online to buy a $20 product, but now you're staring at the screen thinking, what can I add for $5? A few minutes later, you found something you don't really need and somehow you feel like you just saved money. That's the clever psychology behind free shipping. When a store says free shipping on orders over $25, your brain can stop thinking about the total cost and start thinking about the cost you're trying to avoid. Paying $5 for shipping feels like losing money because you don't receive another physical product for it. So adding another $5 or $10 item can suddenly feel like the smarter choice. Imagine you plan to spend $20. Without the offer, you might simply pay $5 shipping and spend $25 total. But with the free shipping threshold, you might add a $10 item and spend $30 just to avoid that $5 fee. You've spent more, but it can feel like you've won. That's because the word free changes the way your brain frames the purchase. You're no longer thinking, do I need this extra item? You're thinking, why would I waste money on shipping when I can get something instead? And that little shift is exactly what makes the strategy effective. Here's the twist. The extra item doesn't even have to be expensive. Companies know that once you've already decided to buy something, adding just one more thing feels much easier. So next time a website says only $6 more for free shipping, stop before hunting for something to add. Ask yourself, would I buy this item if free shipping wasn't an option? If the answer is no, you might not actually be saving money. You might just be spending extra money to avoid spending money. The endowment effect. Have you ever tried something for free and then suddenly hated the idea of giving it back? Maybe it's a free trial for an app, a test drive in a new car, or a sample at a store. At first, you don't care much, but after using it for a while, something changes. You start thinking, wait, I actually need this. That's the endowment effect. It's a psychological tendency where we start valuing something more simply because we feel like we own it. Imagine you download an app offering a 30-day premium trial. At first, you're just testing it, but over the next few weeks, you customize everything, save your preferences, and get used to having all the premium features. Then the trial ends. Suddenly, paying $10 a month feels much more painful than it would have before the trial. Why? Because your brain isn't comparing $10 versus nothing anymore. It feels like you're losing something you already had. Companies can use this feeling through free trials, product samples, test drives, and even try before you buy offers. The longer you interact with something, the easier it can become to imagine it as part of your life. And there's a funny part. You might not even realize you've become attached. You started with, let me see if I like this, and ended with, I don't want to lose this. Here's the twist. Sometimes companies don't have to convince you that their product is worth buying. They can simply let you experience what it feels like to already have it. So when a free trial ends, ask yourself, would I have paid for this before I tried it? Because sometimes, the hardest thing to give back isn't the product, it's the feeling that it was already yours. Anchoring prices. Imagine you walk into a store and see a watch priced at $500. You think, that's expensive. Then, you notice another watch beside it for $1,500. Suddenly, the $500 watch doesn't seem so crazy. Your brain has just been given an anchor. Anchoring is a psychological effect where the first number you see influences how you judge the numbers that come after it. That's why stores often show an original price next to a discounted one. If a jacket says was $200, now $100, your brain doesn't simply see a $100 jacket. It sees a $200 reference point first. So $100 suddenly feels like a bargain. But imagine the same jacket was simply displayed as $100. You might stop and think, is this actually worth $100? The product hasn't changed. The quality hasn't changed. Only the number you saw first changed your perception. Companies can also use anchoring without discounts. Think about a restaurant menu. At the top, you see a fancy steak for $1.80. You weren't planning to spend anywhere near that much. Then you notice a $35 burger. Suddenly, $35 feels pretty reasonable. That expensive option may not even be there, because the restaurant expects lots of people to order it. It can establish a higher reference point that makes other prices feel more affordable. And here's the twist. You don't have to agree with the first number for it to influence you. Once it's in your head, it can quietly become the standard you compare everything against. So next time you see was $300, now $149. Forget the $300 for a second. Look only at $149 and ask, would I still think this is worth it? Because sometimes, the first price you see isn't telling you what something is worth. It's telling your brain what it should compare everything else to. Decoy pricing. Imagine you're buying a streaming subscription. You see 3 plans. Basic, $8 month. Standard, $15 month. Premium, $16 month. At first glance, the premium plan suddenly looks like an incredible deal. Why would I pay $15 when I can get everything for just $1 more? So you choose premium, but here's the question. What if the $15 plan was never meant to be the popular choice? This is called decoy pricing. A decoy is an option that's intentionally designed to look less attractive so another option seems like the obvious winner. Instead of forcing you to buy the expensive choice, companies simply change what you're comparing it to. Movie theaters use this trick all the time. Imagine a small popcorn costs $5, a medium costs $8.50, and a large costs $9. Most people ignore the medium because paying just 50 cents more for a much larger popcorn feels like a no-brainer. The funny thing is, without that medium size, many people might have happily bought the small one. The decoy quietly changes your decision. Your brain naturally compares the available options instead of asking a more important question. Which one do I actually need? That's exactly what companies are counting on. Here's the twist. The decoy doesn't even have to sell well. Its real job is to make another option look like the best value. Even if almost nobody buys it, it has already done its job by influencing everyone else's decision. So the next time you see 3 pricing options and one seems strangely overpriced or pointless, don't ignore it. It might not be there to be purchased. It might be there to make you buy something else. Loyalty rewards. You're one coffee away from getting a free one. You weren't planning to buy coffee today, but then you open the app and see 9 out of 10 rewards completed. Suddenly, walking away feels wrong. You think, I'm already this close, I might as well get one more. That's the psychology behind loyalty rewards. Points, stamps, cashback, levels, and rewards make ordinary shopping feel like a progress bar. Instead of simply spending money, you feel like you're working towards something. Imagine a coffee shop gives you a stamp every time you buy a drink. After a few purchases, you're halfway there. Then you're at 8 out of 10. Now every purchase feels more meaningful because you can see how close you are to the reward. And that feeling of progress can be surprisingly powerful. You might even choose the same store over a competitor because you don't want to start all over again somewhere else. Companies can also turn loyalty programs into little games. Earn 100 more points for gold status. Double points this weekend, or you're almost there. Now you're not just buying something, you're chasing the next level. And here's the interesting part. Sometimes the reward isn't even worth that much. A free coffee or $5 discount might be relatively small. But once you've invested time and money collecting points, abandoning the program can feel like throwing away your progress. That creates a kind of psychological attachment. Here's the twist. The loyalty program may make you feel like you're being rewarded for spending, while its real power is making you more likely to keep spending with the same company. So next time an app tells you only 50 points to go, pause for a second. Ask yourself, would I make this purchase if I wasn't trying to earn points? Because sometimes, the reward isn't what keeps you coming back. The progress is. Now you know the tricks behind the checkout. You know how they influence your brain. But that's just the beginning. Want to uncover more secrets hiding in everyday life? Subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.